Greetings everyone, welcome back to my sketchbook. Just for fun, I thought I'd revisit kind of that drawing that I did last time around, which was, let me see here. So I drew this, which is Shinobu Kocho from Demon Slayer, just for fun. Something weird about those eyes or whatever, but I thought I'd kind of revisit that, just, I don't know. I mean, this is what I use my sketchbook for anyway. It's just kind of goof off with things. So, let us get started. And because I'm also this person, let's move in a little bit here. See if that is going to be sort of okay. I don't know. I'll fix it as we go. It's not really a style that I really draw in, if that makes sense. And I guess it doesn't really have to. Where am I going with this? I don't know. I'm going to start with the eyes anyway. But I do have my own way of kind of doing things. And it's not always the best way, but certain things kind of influence me too. So, when it comes to most of the manga stuff, I don't try to emulate it. I don't think I have to, of course. But like, I definitely like the style of it though. So, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of goof off with this a little bit. One of the things that always kind of strikes me a little bit odd is the way the characters are drawn themselves. It's almost as if they're meant to be children or something like that. Not always, but sometimes I kind of feel that way. And I don't know. I don't necessarily need certain things, I suppose. It's not always like that. Like I said in the last video, the shape of the faces, that kind of stuff, they're kind of doll-like, a lot of the female characters especially, so. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that way about that kind of stuff. But maybe that's also part of it, so that you don't, yeah, if they're just dolls, then you don't have to be as concerned about some of the horrific things that could go on. Maybe I'm overthinking that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to figure out in my own head, using sort of like that same larger eye kind of thing that you'd see in anime. Yeah, maybe if I can just kind of do a different version. Ooh. If indeed that is even possible. Sometimes you get sort of a different vision in your head. Now, the last one I did kind of like a screaming face, and I don't know if I want to do that again. I guess I could. There's no stopping me if that's what I want to do. It's my sketchbook. If I feel like doing it that way, well, that's what we're going to have done. We're baring teeth again. There's also kind of this cutesy kind of thing that happens. Not always. But I want to kind of avoid some of that for some reason with this drawing. And obviously I haven't pre-penciled anything in, So if this looks absolutely nightmarish, that's all right. I don't know if I can do this cute little chin thing. Guess that's kind of a little bit of it. So you'd have the cheekbone meeting up here. The rest of the jaw will kind of fall down a little bit. That's the way I would kind of do it. Forehead. I'm just going to kind of ramble on about something else here. Something that I guess we all enjoy in our stories, at least not all, I guess I shouldn't say it that way, but I mean storytellers like stories like, there's a hero's journey of sorts, something that drove them to become who they are and gave them a reason to go do whatever it is that they're going to do that makes them a hero anyway. A lot of those stories seem to have a power that's above and beyond them. And we, as human beings, as I would have mentioned in other things, we're not exceptionally powerful creatures. So if you have a way of tapping into some other power, that's cool, I guess. But what am I getting at? Perhaps what I'm getting at is that there is an unseen power that we like to throw into our stories or even our everyday lives. Maybe that's what I'm kind of getting at. And, whether or not you believe in God or gods or angels and demons and or alien influence, I kind of get it. Human beings are funny like that we like to have something beyond us. But also there's a part of human beings that wants to create that same thing. So I've said this a lot in some of my other videos, how I'm not really a fan of AI. I don't like that there is technology that can attempt to accomplish some of the things that we as everyday human beings would do. So that could be conversation, that could be a display of empathy. But it's strange. So you can have a machine that would ask you how your day is going, and you could have full-on conversation, and it might actually give you some guidance, like, hey, why don't you try stretching or reading a book, or I could even read that book to you, says the AI, or something like that. So AI can kind of work its way into your life as a relationship. I find that to be kind of frightening in a way, because the machine itself is one that is set up to watch you and maybe recognize certain patterns, and machines are great at that sort of thing. But they're also good for reporting back somewhere, somehow, or keeping records of. So if any of you have had really good friendships that went bad, and that person, of course, as your confidant or confidant, would have your secrets, that's not always a good thing. And that's one of the reasons why I don't trust AI, is that it could hold your secrets. Now, is it okay to have secrets? Sure. You know, you want to plan a birthday party for somebody? Well, you got to have some secrets. But there's a kind of like a passive surveillance that happens with machines. That is an unusual thing. That, getting to the concept again of God or spirits, you could have in your home something that you could speak out to, and this could answer you back. This one could be just watching to make sure that you're okay. Making sure that you're okay. The machine. The machine. I was talking to someone recently about this, about those commercials that used to be on TV, and they kind of are to some degree still, where if you've fallen and you can't get up, you could press this button. Well, the machines are able to see if your heartbeat's off, or if something is not normal by whatever parameters it believes, then it can call the authorities for you. Well, that's kind of neat. You could talk to it and say, well, no, I've just fallen and I'm going to be okay. No need to call an ambulance. And maybe, you know, whatever you might call that creature, let's say you call it Alexa or what have you. That creature inside that machine would maybe bypass your best wishes because it recognizes that you might have gone through some specific trauma and will go ahead without your permission to bring in help. I guess that's a good thing. Maybe. I don't know. Vehicles at one time had this kind of technology, but it was a monitoring system that would bring in a human being to help make some of those decisions for you. Now, it was called OnStar, and it was pretty awesome, I suppose. I mean, if you had questions, you could ask the OnStar, well, perhaps if you're lost. So that's kind of neat, I guess. But new AI versions of that kind of stuff could tell you that you're lost. I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling on here. The unseen power, the unseen surveillance seems interesting to me. We have smartphones and smart TVs and smart appliances that are aware of your presence. And they know if you need your coffee, or they know your user preference for, I don't know, how dark you like your toast, or when you would like to have a wake-up call. But it's watching you. Now, what it does with this information, I'm not really sure. For example, most of you probably know this, a lot of homes are equipped with smart meters on the outside of their house that monitors your power consumption. Is that a terrible thing? Well, these smart meters are able to determine what time of day you seem to be using the most power. What appliances, if it communicates with the other smart appliances, which ones are in use? It could know that, this sounds like conspiracy. I promise you, this is not conspiracy. This is the stuff that you end up signing up for whenever you get smart appliances. Anyway, yeah, no, it seems to be aware. That's kind of a weird thing. I'm just getting information out of my head. But I am a big fan of technology that actually is helpful in some way, rather than just monitoring your life. The difference between a paintbrush, a paint roller, and a paint sprayer are tremendous advancements in technology. Now, let's see. Go to the inside of the mouth here just a little bit. Our friend Shinobu here is yelling about something. Let's go out a little bit here. So that's the shoulder. This would be the arm. She wears a bit of a robe, but I'm going to see what we can do about that. Now, do I want to have a sword? Sure. Now, another thing about the omnipresent listener in your home. also has access to incredible knowledge. That's interesting, don't you think? There was a time where if you had access to a library, you were fortunate, because the library uh, gave you a lot of information that made sense or not made sense, but at least you could look it up. And that was great. So if someone said, hey, do you know about this versus that? You could say, well, this is what I've read. So if you know people that read the newspaper has gotten a lot thinner, mind you, as of, well, the last few years. They seem to have a better understanding of the world around them. And that's pretty awesome. The library gave you a better understanding of the world around you. I'm trying to do a version of this sword that would almost make sense, but that would be a little bit more like a butterfly, let's say. No, a little more like a dragonfly. It would be a fairly thin sword. I don't know about the Haman, what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to give it a bit of a strange point. Some pretty interesting techniques used in sword making that would give a sword or metal strength and flexibility, which are two beautifully sought after things. Flexibility is actually a pretty awesome thing to have in metal. You want strength, yes. Now this sword might be a little thicker than the natural version of the character. In some ways, I suppose it would be more like needle. Belonging to Arya Stark. Arya Stark, I should say. Yes, this weapon would be more like a syringe. Would be good for injecting poison, let's say. Now, let's see, what am I going to do with this arm? Well, we're going to make sure the sleeve is sitting on there. So I hope my rambling doesn't freak you out too much about having devices in your homes that are listening in. But it is something that you should be, in some ways, concerned about. It's kind of like, you remember perhaps in the earliest days, or maybe in recent memory, although technologies are helping to fix what I'm about to say. If you had a cell phone and you put it in your pocket and you sat down and you were just going about your day, uh, you might accidentally butt dial somebody. This was a great nuisance to those of us who had cell phones and was just, well, you could be in the middle of a conversation and it would dial, let's say, oh, the emergency services. Uh, that's not great. Could be your mother or father or whomever. Also, not super great because, yeah, depending on where you are and what you're talking about, uh, you wouldn't know that they'd be there in shock listening in while you talk about what a horrible day you had at work, or the severe diarrhea that you're suffering with. Uh, they may not keep going. I think as a courtesy, if you've been butt dialed, the best thing you can do is hang up the phone or shout, I suppose, and say, "Hey, did you mean to dial me? I'm on the phone with you at this moment." And maybe they would be like, "Sorry about that, but I'm glad you let me know." I don't know, it's such a strange thing. Just making a little bit of a mess here, trying to figure out where I want other stuff to go. Um, Something that's kind of notable, I guess, with this. Let's see if I can get away with doing it. And then I can leave this character alone. Have some pink here. I'm going with color first just because of the ink that I use. And I'll put some detail in after. So I'm letting that space out a little bit. And let's go with this color. These are fun contrasting colors. Go like a little bit darker there, as if we're creating shadow from what the arm might look like. Just a little bit, but not really. I can go back in after with the ink anyway. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that, let it dry, work on some other details, and not drag this out too much. So right now, all the fun streakiness that I did, I'm going to get rid of. A little bit of water. I'll do the same to the other side, and then I'll do a slight blending between the two. Speaking of AI did you know that different companies are working on companions that will not only just like hang out with you, but will hang out with kids as well. So if you're a child and you need help with homework, or you want to talk about your feelings, well, you could have a buddy in a machine that'll talk to you about your day. And in some ways, I suppose, make sure that you're safe, or quite possibly make sure that you're sleeping right, or your heart is fine, and that sort of thing. Yet another reason why I don't really trust AI. But this thing could be, let's say, in your room, and would make sure that someone wasn't breaking in, I guess. That could be a benefit. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff is just, it makes me wary. I'm wary of that sort of thing. Now, put in some semblance of a more scratchiness compared to the last one. Over here, we're going to let the robe move a little bit differently. For here is where we've drawn the sword. Around here we would have the belt. Guess we'd have some loops there. I don't believe there's any special symbols or something like that. I'm going to let everything kind of blur for that. Actually, let's add a little bit more darkness to this before I get the paintbrush out again and destroy it. I'll give that a little bit longer. Next here. This will do just for fun. Put a a couple of very light strands. No one's known. It's just going to be me. Who's going to know that I did purple in the eyes? Who will know? We're almost kind of finishing up here. Brass buttons. There would be 3 buttons, but well, let's kind of put one here just for fun. In the shadow. Now, totally forgot to finish the remaining part of this sword for my sketchbook. And one would ask, is that a problem? The answer is no. Not a problem for my sketchbook. We can say that this has been wrapped with beautiful, could be whatever we want actually, bands of horsehair and leather together with shark skin for specialized grip. Let's say in here there could be a cool tuba. Here we'll put a little bit of shadow, which we're just going to work out anyway when we have some other stuff on the go. I'm not rambling in the same way as I always do, but that is okay. For I am focusing now on getting this done. My doodle. Try to get this to dry a little bit more. Although secretly, does that matter? Probably not. Let's go with this just a little bit darker. Ooh, you know what? Just for fun, let's put some of this blue in here with the purple. I like that. So I've been thinking a little bit about Inktober. It's coming up. It'll be another single page sort of collage thing. So that could be fun if you want to come hang along or hang out and draw along. That's probably the better way for that to fall out of my face. And yeah, it could be just a fun daily thing to just doodle. And yeah, all right. So, before I get into the final bit of whatever stuff. So the robe is kind of unique. We're going to create some kind of like pattern on it. Some of them will go a little bit bigger, some of them will be smaller, but that is okay. Something like that. And it would kind of make its way up the sleeves as well. Now, joyful speckles and polka dots. More speckles than anything else. We'll darken that in with a bit more severity soon enough. Kind of things that you'd see on a monarch butterfly or a Julia butterfly. So let's see here. Let's darken that in. So if you have any fun ideas to, if you want to see me ruin your childhood favorite characters, comment down below, because that could be fun. I'm sure you have a take on some of your favorites as well. I might do a little bit of research. Chances are I will not, and I'll just see if I can draw something off the top of my head, which is typical for me to do. I thought I'd give this character just a little bit more time than I did in the last one, and do it in a way that I would kind of do it, rather than that awesome anime style. Okay, well, here we go. It's just about ruining time. Technically, this would be more of the same kind of robe over here, but we'll not worry about that, although I could, because, where do I want the hands? I don't know. Anyway, let's get this done here, folks, and then that'll be it. So, just going to darken this, avoid some of the hair. Not avoid it too much. This is a weirdly fun thing for me to do. I enjoy this for some reason. Moving it around in a comparable way that you would watercolor. All right, almost done. I don't think I want to do anything with the hair. I'll probably just leave it alone, let it dry, and turn the page and get ready for the next bit of doodling idea nonsense that I'm going to end up doing. I'll just run through here just a little bit. Since I put a lot of ink in there. But yeah, so we've returned to the Demon Slayer and tried a different take of it without it just being kind of that awesome cutesy manga style, and give the face a little bit more of a grown-up kind of look to it. All right. I think that will be it. If there's any little things outside of this, I don't know. Let's see, just a little bit in there. A little bit underneath here. But my goodness, it's time to let this one go. All right, folks. That is it. Thanks for hanging out. And where I am right now, it's Sunday evening, so I'll probably just upload this, and then, tomorrow morning I'll wake up and I'll take some time to doodle something else, but we'll see. We shall see. All right. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Ciao for now.